Yo, welcome to this explainer. Imagine your computer is a massive apartment building, right? And Linux? Well, Linux is that one landlord who actually knows exactly where absolutely everything is. I mean, think about Windows. Windows will have you searching for files in total chaos. You get these file paths that look like a complete mess, like, brother, what even is that? Linux, on the other hand, says, nah. We keep it clean, we keep it organized, we lock in. So today, we're explaining the Linux file system so your brain can finally stop buffering at 3 frames per second, and you can actually understand what's happening under the hood. Okay, let's dive right into this. First up, everything in Linux starts from this single /. It's called root. And no, not root like the vegetable, and definitely not root like hacking your old Android phone. This is the mother of all folders, the final boss, the alpha directory, the GigaChad folder. Every single file, every program, every secret, every questionable thing you downloaded at 2 a.m., it all starts right here. Think of it like the trunk of a massive tree where absolutely every folder branches out from. Linux looked at chaos and just said, nah, we centralize. So, branching out from there, we have the /home directory. This right here, this is your crib, your house, your digital bedroom. Say your name is Sarah, you'd have /home/Sarah. This is exactly where your personal files live. Your downloads, your pictures, that one folder you named important that is actually filled with absolutely useless stuff. If Linux were a city, /home is your private apartment. You can mess it up all you want. Delete random files, install weird configs, throw anime wallpapers everywhere. Linux just shrugs. It's your safe zone. But contrast that safe space with /root. Let me be crystal clear here. This is not your room. This is the landlord's forbidden penthouse. It belongs strictly to the root user, the supreme ruler, the Linux mafia boss. You don't just walk in there like you own the place. See, you need explicit permissions to enter that penthouse. If you try to just sneak in, that's exactly why Linux hits you with the classic permission denied error. It's basically the operating system looking you up and down, stopping you at the door and deadpan saying, "Lil bro, who do you think you are?" Right, so moving out of the penthouse, we hit /bin. This folder contains all of your essential binary programs. We're talking about the commands you use every single day in the terminal, like ls, cp, and mv. This is the OG squad. These are the fundamental, critical tools Linux uses to just function. Without the /bin folder, your terminal becomes completely emotionally unavailable. You try to type commands and absolutely nothing happens. Your entire system literally just enters a state of deep depression. Next on our map is /etc. Think of this as the conspiracy board of your operating system. This is where the config files live. System settings, service configs, those crucial control files. Basically, it's Linux's settings menu if it was entirely written by sleep-deprived engineers. Need to change a core network configuration? It's in here. Need to tweak system behavior? Right here. And honestly, more importantly, need to accidentally break your entire system? Oh yeah, it is definitely here. It's like the old saying goes, mess around in /etc and Linux will absolutely let you discover consequences. It's incredibly powerful, but man, it requires a lot of respect. Now, unlike those other folders that stay mostly static, our next stop, /var, changes constantly. It holds system logs, caches, and temporary service data. It's stuff that just keeps growing, kind of like your YouTube watch history. System logs go straight into this folder, so when your system inevitably breaks and you're totally panicking, Linux just points you to this ever-growing folder basically saying, the receipts are in /var/log, detective. Then we have /tmp. This is where Goblin mode is fully activated. It's the disposable cup of the Linux world, strictly for temporary files. Programs just throw their junk here when they're running. Use it, forget it, delete it. Literally nobody cares. Linux regularly cleans this place out like a janitor with absolutely zero emotional attachment. Okay, brace yourselves, because this next one is a little bit cursed. Welcome to /dev. This is where we learn the completely unhinged yet totally genius behavior of Linux. Because in Linux, physical hardware devices are literally treated as files. Just think about your setup for a second. Your keyboard? It's a file. Your hard drive? It's a file. That random USB stick? File. Your entire grip on reality? Well, it's potentially a file in Linux too. You'll see stuff in this directory like /dev/sda, which is usually a storage device. Linux really looked at physical, tangible hardware and said, congrats, you're a document now. It's absolute madness, but it makes interacting with the system incredibly uniform. But actually, scratch that, it gets weirder. The crucial point here is that not everything on your machine is what it seems. Take the /proc folder, for example. This isn't even a real folder. It's fake, a hallucination, a literal government simulation. It exists entirely virtually, just to show you live system information. Things like running processes, CPU info, and memory stats. They look like standard text documents, but they aren't. Linux basically generated a folder in real time out of thin air and just said, trust me, bro.
All right, moving on, we arrive at /usr, which is the source of endless confused screaming for beginners. Because this name is highly deceptive. I mean, it sounds exactly like it should be for user files, right? Let me be perfectly clear, it is not. This is where your installed applications and shared libraries live, not your personal stuff. So why on earth is it called /user if it's not for users? Well, for quote-unquote historical reasons, which in computer science language basically translates to some guy in 1972 made a decision and now we all have to suffer. It's just a quirk of history that we're permanently locked into, so just drill it into your head. It's for installed software, not your personal files.
Section 2. The nightclub rules, or file permissions. So now that we actually know the map, we need to understand how the system maintains order. The Linux file system acts exactly like a strict nightclub bouncer standing at the door asking, name on the list. Every single file and folder has these 3 fundamental permissions. First, read. Can you actually look at the file? Second, write. Can you change or edit it? And third, execute. Can you run it as a program? If you don't have the right permission for what you're trying to do, the bouncer simply denies you and sends you straight home. No exceptions.
So what does this all mean? Why does this matter? Because if you understand the structure, suddenly the entire operating system just clicks. It makes sense. You know exactly where the logs are, where the configs live, where the tools are, and exactly where your mistakes are hiding. You can finally stop randomly Googling, why did sudo destroy my soul, and actually become the terminal wizard, the shell sorcerer, the grep goblin, the sudo samurai. And best of all, you can finally stop your arch Linux friend from gatekeeping computer knowledge.
Let's do a quick recap of this incredible journey. The / is the kingdom, home is your house, root is the forbidden penthouse, etc. is the settings cave, dev is where reality bends, and proc is just Linux gaslighting you with fake files. Congratulations, you now truly understand the Linux file system structure. So, here's my final question for you. Are you ready to open up that terminal, type ls, and pretend you know exactly what you're doing? Go forth and command your system with confidence.